welcome to the K-Zone Baseball Development Podcast. Today we sit down with Coach fresh off winning a Division III National Championship and received the tag as the ABCA Assistant Coach of the Year. I'm Hunter Wood, and I'm here with the founder of K-Zone Baseball Development, Jimi Keating.
I chased that D3 title for 4 years. I'm excited to hear from someone that actually went and won it. Before we get started, if you want to be able to chase this baseball dream without wasting time and resources all around the country, burning through your savings, or your kids getting hurt, if you want Hunter and myself in your corner to answer any of the questions of this journey, we want you to step into the dugout and join our players and families. Head over to kzonebaseballdevelopment.com/dugout and use code WORK to get the first month free. We like to give you insight on specifics of what you can do to obtain this dream without ending up with significant debt or hurting your current family.
All right. So here we are today with Coach Ryne Romick. He's entering his 10th season as assistant baseball coach at Denison University and his 5th season as associate head coach. He's helped build one of the most premier programs in all of baseball. Coach Romick is coming off his historic 2026 season where he helped lead Denison to its first national championship in program history, and he was recognized as the assistant coach of the year. Under Coach Rome's leadership, Denison has established itself as a true national powerhouse. Over the last several seasons, the Big Red have sustained a level of excellence few programs in the country can match, making multiple regional appearances, deep postseason runs, and building a culture centered around elite player development and winning baseball. Coach, we know your experience in building a championship is going to be highly valuable for our families and our players, so we're excited for your insight today. Thank you for coming once more. Coach Rome, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Of course we're going to have you. You win a national championship, you probably get a lot of requests like this. Man, when we were building this show, Doc, looking at what you guys have laid down over the last couple of years, I'm like, this is unbelievable. There weren't even like Tuesday midweek slips. Like, you guys just laid down some dominance that I don't know that I've looked at many levels of baseball. So before we dive in and hear about it, congratulations, man. Whatever y'all are doing, it's awesome, and I can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, Coach, simple question here. How does it feel to be a national champion?
I don't know if I don't think it. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know. You tried to go into this thing like striving for that. That's what you want, and I don't think I had any clue like how hard it was going to be. Like the tournament is basically, the way the format works is the same as Division I, right? It's you win a regional, you win a super, and then basically you got to win another regional and another super. And it feels like it never stops. And we happened to lose the first game in the World Series, so and then lost one in the best of 3. So we get to play as many games you could possibly play in whatever it is, 7 days. It just takes so many people. I think that's the thing I learned the most. It takes so many people. It takes so many players. It takes a ton of depth. It takes having a really good trainer. It takes having a really good strength coach. It takes having really good parents. Like, it just took everybody, and really good coaching staff from the top to the bottom. Your first base coach has to be good. Your bullpen guy has to be good. If anybody falters and slips and messes up, it can hurt you. And that's how small I guess the parity is. It's just everybody's good and can beat you. So you have to be good on a bunch of different levels.
I originally went to school to be an athletic trainer, and I think a lot of what goes on with our athletic trainers at the Division III level and other small school levels, those people are unsung heroes. Those many baseball games in that many days, I would imagine you had several dudes throw on short rest that weren't sure they were going to be able to play catch, and then came in to pitch and win a championship and do those things. I run all the pitching here at K-Zone, and one of the big things is coaches have to know that you're going to be consistent and come in and compete in zone. And you look at what you guys laid down this past year, consistency and being in zone, I mean, those are foundational things, and they're really hard to do day after day after day after day over the course of a whole season. So you guys just laid down one of the best Division III seasons in the history of Division III, and you spoke to it. You played as many games as possible. So it could have been really easy, especially from a staff perspective, to make an excuse on why it fizzled out there in the end because, oh man, we were burnt, like we were out of arms, and everybody would understand that and it would be great. But those are really hard things to actually grasp and feel in your chest as a former pitcher, that maybe I could have taken the ball, but I didn't do the recovery right and do all those things. So the consistency and the obsession required with preparation and recovery, it's exemplified in what you guys were able to achieve there, playing so many games in such a short window.
So we often talk about how the physicality and the talent level in college baseball is skyrocketing. There is great baseball played at all levels. And Division III baseball is so misunderstood. I know nothing about it. And Jimmy, once again, being at that level and sitting at that level, he always chimes in and is like, hey, you don't really understand this level. Tell us all about the talent on your roster at Denison this past year that took the title home.
Yeah, I think obviously it's a very talented team. I think I'll start the year before, because I think that tells more about the program than just the team did, because that's kind of where we've been last, like as he said, it's about the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years. So last year we lost arguably the best Division III player of all time. He's got to be in the top 3 conversation. Eric Colasso. He won Division III Player of the Year. He's on the Golden Spikes watch list, and that's mainly a Division I award. But he was on that. He was an animal. And if you go back and scroll through his numbers, you're like, holy moly, 60 bags. He was hitting 20 doubles a year. He'd hit 12 home runs. He'd hit 4 something. His numbers are crazy, and he did it for 4 years. But we lost him. We lose a couple other good seniors. We lose a guy to the Padres, our number 1 starter. We lose a couple good bullpen pieces, and then we had 3 guys get in the portal. So we had 2 sophomores and a junior leave in the transfer portal. One went to Duke, one went to Tulane, and one went to Pitt. And they all had really good years at those 3 schools. So we lost a ton of talent there. We lost, I think, 75, 80% of our innings last year. So you come into this year going, people are like, how are you going to be? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even know who's going to throw. So it was just kind of it took a program effort, meaning you have to have a deep roster. You have to have pitchers that are in that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 roles the year before. Now they got to step up and they got to pitch. I had 2 young guys come in that were all Americans, 2 freshmen. So the talent was really good, but I think more proud from my side is the depth of the talent by losing that much. And then we walked in and had a really good year. The stats speak for themselves, but the staff was really good and really tight, and guys wanted the ball. But those were a bunch of guys that were kind of waiting on an opportunity a year before and weren't sure if they were ever going to get one, because those guys were sophomores and juniors and they transferred out. So it was like, here you go, big boy. It's your time. Take the ball and roll with it. So, and they did a great job.
Waiting on an opportunity. That feels like a lost art a little bit. Just kind of putting your head down for a year while you got talented players in front of you and not running from that and going somewhere else. That's really cool to hear that we've actually got teenagers that want to do that. We work predominantly with high school athletes, and we want to make sure that they understand, hey, man, year 1, it's really important that you have opportunity to go somewhere and develop. We want to lay down numbers, but those numbers may be laid down over the course of 14 innings, and you need to be prepared for that. Because, I was a Division III ball player, and we talked about some of this show doc being a little bit geared towards talking about the current state of Division III and breaking some of those stereotypes and misconceptions. I went to Spalding University. I hung up the phone the first time they called me. I will not go there. Why would I go there? And then the way things shook out for a variety of reasons, I ended up committing there. And I committed there with the mindset that I will go in and immediately be the best pitcher they've ever had. They should be grateful I'm coming here. And I'll bully my way into the top end of the draft by year 3. And my first year, I had to grow up. I wasn't ready. I threw 27 innings, pitched to the tune of a 4.67. That ain't dominant. And it sounds like you probably had a lot of guys like that story, really talented, probably think they're going to have a lot of success, and then had to humble themselves and wait and keep working and be ready for the baseball. And not to spill the beans on your all's record, this past year, but when you lose 3 games, it means that everybody that took the baseball was ready for the baseball. And you only get that when you have the mental maturity to understand your role and execute in moments.
Speaking of dominance, Denison is 170-28 over the last 4 seasons, and that is pure dominance. So talk about this, Coach Rome, for us. What are you guys establishing in the fall to make sure that culture of winning is sustained year after year?
Yeah, that was a good question because the fall is definitely important, and Division III's changed. So Division III 2 years ago used to be, or 3 years ago now maybe, it used to be 16 days is all you got. So I'm sure when he played Division III baseball, it was probably a 16-day model. I think you got 4 weeks worth of 4 days of practice or whatever. Now they've switched it, and you get 24 days, and you can use them however you'd like. You don't have to keep it in a 4-week window. So some teams will stretch it a long time. Some people will do 6 days a week for 4 weeks still, and that's what they want to do. You can also save the days and use them for like pitcher catcher days early in the spring. So we usually keep 2 or 3 days for that. But we try to stretch ours just so we can give pitchers time to recover. We put pitchers on a really strict schedule. And we don't have to bounce guys back like you used to in fall ball, which is like, hey, you're going to throw on Tuesday and you're going to throw on Saturday and you're going to throw on Tuesday and Saturday. And it was a mess. But now that fall for us is a lot about playing. So as you guys have probably experienced it with younger guys, gameplay is not something that they are very familiar with. And what I mean by that is they're familiar with a cage. They're familiar with a bullpen format. They're familiar with tech now when we get them, which is crazy to me. I didn't have a pitching coach, but now these guys know what IVB is and VAA is, and they can tell you everything. But they don't play. They don't go in the backyard and play very much. So the idea of competition and just trying to get this guy out and just trying to hit a home run off this guy is very different. So we play a ton purposefully. So our pitchers will come in. Now, the volume's not crazy high, but the frequency is high. So they're going to go live, and they're going to get a bullpen. They're going to have a recovery day with us every week. So we get 3 days a week for 8 weeks. And usually it ends up being like we get a fall break in there. So we go about 21 or 22 days. But that's for a reason. One, because we're trying to set a standard of how we like to play. How we like to hustle, how we like to, that backups are important for pitchers, that the way you go onto the field as a pitcher is important, the way you come off and how quickly you get your butt on the field is important, that our shortstop doesn't need to throw 9 balls across the infield, that we want your butt on the mound and be ready to pitch and those sorts of things. For hitters, it's the same thing, like how we take leads is important, and all the little stuff that gets overlooked, the monotony of like how we take in between inning ground balls and how we throw across. Like last year we did a day where you could lose points, lose runs, and gain runs by having really good in between inning sessions because we were tired of throwing the ball away. So again, we just try to learn and develop our team through play. So our fall, I think, is extremely important. Pitchers are going to throw 12 to 20 innings, depending on what type of pitcher you are. Hitters are going to get between 50 and 60 at bats. It's a really good, as you mentioned earlier, it's a really good way to put your name out there if you're a young guy. You can put yourself on the board as being, hey, I'm a guy, I got 1,000 OPS and I walk more than I strike out and things like that. And for a pitcher, it's the same thing. Can you dominate the white of the plate? Can you get people out over the white? And if you can do that, then you can pitch for us. If you can't dominate the 17 inches in front of you, then you can't pitch. And that's how it goes. But our fall is massively important to us.
Man, you're perking me up over here. You're saying so many things that I talk about. You're talking about the white of the plate. I'll start there. I talk about disrespect the barrel. So half the time when these dudes hit the ball hard, it's ground ball to short, and we got a guy over there and he's out. So to any pitcher out there, if you don't hear anything else, they just won a lot of baseball games, and he's talking about pitching over the white of the plate. When we're cute on the corners, we give away free bases, and when we give away free bases, we end up losing, and losing isn't fun. And other stuff he talked about there that I've taken a lot of my older high school guys through to try to prep for college. It does matter what it looks like in between pitches when you're on the mound. It does matter how you come off the field. I actually had my seniors this year practice their walk off the mound, okay, what that really looks like. And then understand when it is time. Your offense just gave you a big momentum shift. You need to be on that rubber immediately. So this isn't the walk to the rubber. This is go get the baseball, get on the rubber. I don't care about your warm-up pitches. Get hot. Hey, first baseman, get that ball back in the dugout. We're getting these boys back in the dugout quickly. When do we work quickly in the inning? And when do we slow it down for a minute? Understanding that even though there's a pitch clock, there's still ways to manipulate that tempo to compete within the baseball game itself that's being played that day. And that feel for the game is lost when we exclusively play the game in a travel ball culture that is played on a clock, and maybe we're trying to go slow so that team doesn't get to hit on the other side or something like that. Everyone that's ever played college baseball will tell you that game sped up when they got there. It's the same game. It's completely different. And every head coach that we've talked on here with, and every coach that coaches in a winning program, really talks about some of the same things. We play a lot in the fall. Seems to be consistent with winning programs. Like, we want our guys in game-like situations so that they know the way that we do it. And how are they going to know the way that you do it if there's not uniforms on both sides and we're playing? Because they haven't seen it. They can guess, but how many commits are actually like watching that school play all their baseball games the year before and actually understand what they're walking into? And even if you're watching it on TV, you're not seeing that shortstop take the field at 16 miles an hour, leaving strides, and you hear him coming off the field to get back in there. And we don't see that at the high school level. So when we have programs that win, saying they play a lot in the fall, it's super important how their guys come on and off the field. Their warm-up throws in between innings are super important to them, and they value those things. And there was even consequences in the fall for bad warm-ups in between innings. Hey, to my high school coaches out there, listen up. Those things matter. They really care. At the college level, they do care. And they care enough that they might be transitioning into why they won in the spring. So the little things matter, and little things stacked over the course of 24 fall days turn into pretty big things.
Coach Rome, I want you to speak more into that, because I also got really excited when you started talking about just coaching and teaching these guys how to play the game. One of the biggest things that we see as we train guys is, you're right, they know what induced vertical break means, and they know what the iPad is telling them, and they know the metrics of this thing, but they don't watch baseball, and they couldn't tell you who the best player for the Phillies is, and all these things. So what, over the course of your time there at Denison, or just as your coaching career, speak to a specific moment, or speak to a moment in which you go, I'm going to sell out for this. We need to teach these guys at 18 to 23 years old how to play the game.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if there's ever like one moment. I think it's a whole pile of these little experiences. If you look back, and we go to Milliken, we lose to Wash U 2-1, and we're throwing a kid who I'm still really close with today, ended up being an All-American the next year, but that year he was unusable. Okay, this is 2018. I'm all going all the way back to. But this is where stuff matters, and you learn over time that little stuff matters. And most times you're trying to ingrain that message into 18-year-olds, but you and me as a 39-year-old, like, I've lived it, and you start to go, man, that burnt me, or whatever burnt me, or that I paid for like 6 months ago, I paid for it in full, and now I'm getting the love for me paying for it 6 months ago. And you learn that stuff as you get older, but you're trying to tell guys that. But that kid worked really hard, and it just never clicked for him. And we've been around that guy. It just didn't click. It didn't click. He had stuff. He was really good. Didn't click. And we get to the last game. We've used every arm twice or 3 times, right, in the regional. And it was a 6-team regional. So it was long. And we're like, hey, man, you got 9 innings. It's all you. Have fun with it. Do whatever. We got nobody left. It's all you. He ends up throwing 9 innings. Next year, he's an All-American. Goes to Maryland for his COVID years, pitches really well there. But the long-term investment in humans, I think, is something that I've learned. To have a long-term view of human beings is something I learned 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I'll never go away from it. And I think the big difference from my time coaching in Division I baseball is probably that. Like, I probably had a short-term view of human beings because it was very transactional. Like, we paid them 50%. I better get 50% out of you. Not like, you may still have to develop this guy for another 2 years before you ever get the payback. And so I learned a lot from that. And I think now I just have this view, like, things are what they are. Like, you pitch terrible, you pitch terrible. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, and we're going to talk about it, but it doesn't mean you stink. You just pitch terrible. Same thing goes for hitters. So you have a bad week, you have bad 2 weeks. You had a bad 2 weeks. Like, let's go back and let's just keep doing it. And if you have a good 2 weeks, guess what? I'm not going to treat you any different. I'm still going to tell you what you messed up, and that you know, as we call him, Coach, TOP. You'll hear our dugout going, TOP. Like, our offense got 3 runs, time possession, and guys are scurrying, grabbing gloves, sprinting on the field. Like, we're going to try to, they give us 2 minutes. We're going to be done in a minute 10. And I hope they get in the box in a hurry because we're coming. So time possession. But for us, like, little things like that matter. But I think investing in people for some long-term payback, and maybe it isn't even in baseball. Maybe it's just in life that they start to become a better human when they're done because you invested in them and treated them properly. But that's what I've learned. And through all these little things, these experiences where you get your butt kicked because you didn't invest in, you know, first and thirds, and you get killed sometime, and you didn't invest in a bunt game or this extra pick play that we should have had in, and you get burnt by it. Those things are the things that I've learned over the last 7-8 years of being in Supers, World Series, because it's little things that end up burning you.
First thing, I'm directly stealing the TOP. Urgency was a big thing that I played with, and it's really hard to teach to a high school player. I would have whole outings where I was trying to be single-digit seconds back to the plate, and that's pretty easy when you've only got 2 real pitches. But I'll digress from there. Man, the long-term investment in human beings, that one hits me in the heart and is so huge, because without this game, I have no idea what type of man I would be. And I was far from Christ in my playing career, and anybody that I played with in college, like, I'm sorry, I probably yelled at you in the dugout or something like that. But there was a lot of things that I learned through that journey that I couldn't figure out otherwise. And I don't know that the top end of college baseball is including that anymore. I don't think it ever really had it done at a consistent level across the top end of the sport, but I know it doesn't everywhere right now. There are exceptions, certainly, anywhere and everywhere, but the top end of the game right now is professional baseball. And if you aren't helping me win, I will get rid of you. And if you can help me win next year, that means that you can't help me win right now, so I'm still going to get rid of you. And if I really like you and I believe in your long-term process, I will text a coach at a different school that I know and see if he will develop you, because you're not helping me win right now, so I'm still getting rid of you. And I saw great things happen in my 4 years of college, not only in my own maturation, but in a lot of my buddies that maybe were a boy and had some issues that they had to address. And the consistency of knowing that you're not going to get kicked out of here just because you booted a ground ball in the 3rd inning, or you came in out of the bullpen and you did go 4-pitch walk. And, man, we've been talking about that since August, how that's not competitive and walks are soft, and we still believe those things. The game doesn't change. I like that you said you don't stink. You just pitched bad. And locally, I think I'm seen as the guy that's a little bit too blunt and too honest. I love these guys harder than anybody else that'll train them, and I'll say that one publicly. It's just when you went to throw that fastball, you grunted your 84 and it went ping over the wall. Maybe we should have tried to actually settle down and just be athletic to the spot instead of doing this thing. So you had a moment where you did a bad thing as a pitcher. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. And for the high school player, it just takes everything they've got to be good enough at this game to even get a chance anyway. So I think a lot of times they equate their own bad month of June pitching with, like, I'm bad as a person. And we have to have those things separate, because Hunter and I both chase this dream. And, you know, I'm the washed up old D3 dude. Nobody even knows the school colors for where I played. And he was an indie baller that fell out of it. So if it's only what you achieve at the end of it, then you are a failure. And that's something that this game really taught me is there's actually not a finished product. There are a lot of people out there that are big leaguers that have made $500 million that are probably bad husbands and fathers, and I'm not jealous of them. And I don't think that many 18-year-olds get the opportunity to go somewhere where they're like, hey, we're in this for the long haul. Sure, you can play. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't play. Okay, we're going to win. We got to have talented baseball players to do that. But you're probably not going to contribute that much this year. We do need you to be ready, though. I know you've had 7 at-bats on the year, but, situations happen in baseball. When you're playing all those games in that week, okay, what if the everyday shortstop goes down with a hammy, it's locked up, and he can't get that cramp to stop, and it just won't stop, and he can't play? You may be putting a guy in there, and we see this every year, a guy that's got 11 at-bats on the year, and it's like, all right, bub, it is time. And if that guy has been in the dugout sulking for 3 months, your season's over. And, it's easier with pitchers because we see all the time in the College World Series at the Division I level, a lot of these guys starting games haven't pitched in a month. And it's like fans of the team are like, I've never heard of this guy. And he's rolling out 94 to 96, and he's either going to compete or he's not. And the programs that are willing to ride with these guys and build them, we're really partial to them. And hearing what you guys have going on, I'm really hoping we have some players make that trip up to you guys at some point.
Coach Rome, I will share this on air because I know I texted it to you. Hearing you talk about not giving up on guys, I appreciate it. So to know the history of Coach Rome and I, he was at Ohio University, and he had just left Dayton, I believe. I think he was kind of in between, but he's there for a full year. And I was the graduate assistant coach. And, man, I was fresh off the best baseball season of my career. Receiving some accolades. I was still such a player, 22 years old, immature, selfish, all those things. And I was basically just the ball boy. I stunk as a coach. So I actually texted Coach Rome before this and say, hey, by the way, thank you for not choking me. I probably was pretty chokeable at times. But that was before Christ, and things are much better now. I've grown up a lot. So he is a real life example. You're sitting here as someone that you didn't give up on, hopefully. And but, baseball, and that's our overall theme and message as we train guys. We work with middle school guys. We work with high school guys. And we try to be honest with them. Most of you aren't big leaguers, but you will be husbands and you will be fathers. And we want you to be ready for those things. So, no, we're super excited to hear that mindset there at Denison. And so talk about this for us, Coach Rome. And we want to dispel this, by the way. So we're bringing this up specifically because people are they don't know these things. Many people, by the way, that haven't received an offer at all or any actual interest, they still view Division III baseball as a fallback plan. And they take it for granted. Some people may leave you guys on red still. You guys have made it to Division III World Series each of the last 2 seasons. So I want you to talk about and dispel this for people. What does this level of baseball look like at the Division III World Series?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't really know how to – when I read it, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. I think, in watching baseball, the best way to describe it is to, explain where baseball is right now. And I know you guys know this, but – basically, minor leagues have been cut down, and the draft's been cut down. So there's not as many minor league players. So basically, your ACCs and SECs are basically the minor leagues now, and they're getting paid as such, right? And they're getting signing bonuses, and they're getting millions of dollars, 6-figure contracts. So that's what that is. So in that world, if you go there and expect they're going to hang out with you while you really, really struggled, they're not, because they wouldn't in the minor leagues either. They dump you and you go play indie ball. Basically now the Division threes of the world have turned into what indie ball used to be, which is now you go there and you play and you expect to stay there, but the top end of that talent is getting nipped off by somebody and they're taken to the minor leagues, right? And that's what's kind of happened in Division III baseball. So the top end of the talent in Division III baseball is Division I talent. There's no doubt about it. There's guys throwing, low to mid 90s with good stuff. And there's hitters that are hitting the ball over 110 miles an hour. And there's guys that can run really well and play good defense and things like that. So is the depth the same? Not at all. It's not close. But is the top end talent? there, yeah. I mean, like I said, we had 3 guys that went and played pretty much Power 4 baseball. And Tulane's not really considered that, but they're really good. And this year no, we didn't have anybody else that left this year, but we had a senior that had an extra year of eligibility because of an injury, so he's going to UVA next year to throw there. So the talent's good. I know the number 1 for Endicott's probably going to go play Power 4 baseball. The best guy for Marietta is going to WVU. The list goes on and on and on, where the top 2 or 3 guys on each team, they can go play the top end of Division I baseball. Now, are they going to be an All-American there? Sometimes they're really good. The guy from Endicott was at UConn last year, was really, really good, was their best arm. So sometimes they're really, really good, and sometimes they're just players on those teams. But that's probably where the talent lies. If you're looking for like a sliding scale, basically, is it really good baseball? Yeah, it's really good baseball. Is there still dumb stuff that happens? Just like if you watch the Division I College World Series and you see base running blunders and guys kick routine ground balls and pitchers have 4 pitch walks, as we talked about. Yeah, that stuff still happens because we're all human beings and guys get nervous and guys make mistakes. But I'd say that the talent level, when you're looking at the top 50 Division III schools, 50 to 75 is really good baseball. It's really good, clean baseball. If you go now there's 400 Division III baseball schools. So you go to 300 to 400, you may see some stuff that you've probably never seen before. Yeah. And some people that probably, should not be playing, but that happens.
Yeah, I've spoken to that before, I think on here, but I mean, in Division III in 2016, I saw mid 90s plus often. The guy that I was battling with in the SLEAC conference there that took home National Pitcher of the Year, shout out Josh Fleming, he's still going. Like, I turned 30 this month. He's still going. So there's way more talent in Division III now than there is. And you spoke to it a little bit, but I mean, we're likely, the current proposal by the MLB is for that next year, the high school player can't even be drafted anymore. Do I think that's going to roll through? I don't think so. But, I mean, there's probably other things for them to fight. So if you remove the high school player going to pro ball, that's probably a significant portion of your top end SEC, ACC, which these guys are getting up to $500,000 in the portal this summer. I was talking to an agent earlier this week. We're talking about $500,000 to play college baseball. They won't develop you. If they just wasted $500,000 on you, they're going to stop speaking to you, and you are gone immediately, because that coach might get fired for giving you that much money and you didn't produce. And he's got to actually tell his wife, we got to move now because I made the wrong decision on a 19-year-old I'd never met in person. So they're probably not going to want to do that much more. And the proposal also has eight draft rounds being eliminated as well. So we talked about that with our guys this past week in our prospect prep series. If you've got about 400 more guys maybe next year that on top of all this are going to be in college baseball instead of professional baseball, that's about 12 teams worth of Division I talent. So it's going to trickle down to everything, because we've got guys that are like fringe college baseball players. They're not sure if they're good enough. We're going to try to get them offers and things like that. And it's like, hey, this collective bargaining agreement actually impacts you as well, because if it squeezes everything down, that means that, you talked about Division III, and it's what I've always said with everybody is, like, you might see a guy that's a second rounder on Friday. Like, you may see a pitcher that would be the number 1 for half of the teams in the ACC, and he might just be doors all night. The guy coming out of the pen for that school, though, might be 76 to 79 behind him, though. And as we potentially add more professional players to the college game, I think the big change that's going to happen the next few years is that the depth is actually going to be there, because there are going to be so many more guys in college baseball. And if everyone's way more talented, your top end schools like a Denison or a Webster, I was always competing against, like, they have the depth, but maybe the 4th team in that conference has a few dudes, and then they don't have much after that. If we add pro guys to the college mix and it all trickles down, you may actually see bullpen arms in Division III that end up, in high A the next year and competing for this dream, because it's all getting so much more professionalized, and it's making everything so much more of a competitive environment. But yeah, the bottom end of that Division III roster, anybody that's been in Division III has a couple stories, I'm sure. I'm not going to name any schools, but I do remember a game my freshman year where I go, I'm actually playing. I'm here today, and you'll have that experience, and then maybe the next weekend you're seeing a 3-hole who's hitting 500 and goes backside 400 feet. And you're like, why is it, what's going on with that? Like, how do you get that guy? So it's just a lot of fun. Division III baseball. If I had to sum it up, I think it's a lot less stressful, a little bit less cutthroat than some of what's going on at the top end of the game right now, but it's still really good baseball.
I want to throw you a curveball here, Coach Rome. So we haven't talked about this question previous, but as you guys were talking just about a lot of fun, the stories, etc., your path to Denison, we can maybe start even as a player, but as a coach, it wasn't this upward trending path where you were winning national championships at 23 years old. There was a path that you certainly had to take as a grinder, and to make it in college baseball as a coach, as a player, you have to have that about you. You shared a story one time, and you could probably tell it better, about driving a van on a golf outing and sleeping on turf or something like that. These are all parts of your maturation as a man and as a coach. If you could give us some insight about the progression from you stopped playing college baseball to you decide you're going to coach to where you are now at Denison, because we know there's probably lots of good stories along the way.
Yeah, thanks for remembering that, by the way. It's supposed to be a forgotten story. No, I didn't want anything to do with baseball when I was done. I finished up my senior year at Akron, is where I played. I was going to go do an MBA, try to get a sales job. So I went to do an MBA, and the women's basketball coach, someone that I know, my dad's a basketball coach, high school basketball coach for like 35 years. So I knew this basketball coach, and he just took the golf job at West Virginia Wesleyan and was like, hey, do you want to be my assistant golf coach? And I said, hey man, I like to golf, but not any good at it. Right. I just golf because I'm a pitcher and you're supposed to golf. So I'm the golf coach. That last a year, I realized that I want to do baseball. So I take off, become a GA at a D2 school. That's where I drove vans. We slept in a hitting facility going to Florida one year at, really low money facility or university. It's not a school anymore. That goes to tell you where they were at. I ended up hooking on with Coach Deegan because he was at Marietta, and that's pretty close to where I grew up. And I kept bothering him. Hey, have you heard about any jobs? And finally he's like, hey, do you want to work for me? And I was like, I'm in. He's like, I didn't tell you where it was. I said, I don't care. I'm in. And I just knew I liked him as a human being, and I wanted to be around him. Ended up being at Denison. So I go up there for 2 years. We did really well. Basically, I think the team was 12-25 or something when he took over. We won our division, our side of the conference, west side of the NCAC twice, 2 times in a row. And then I got offered the Dayton job. So I went there. That was a great experience for me. Not because it was good. It was bad. And I was ill prepared, as you said, fresh out of player. I was a 4-year-old recruiting coordinator and pitching coach in an A-10 school. Had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to balance a scholarship spreadsheet. I didn't know nothing. So I took that thing and scuffled through it, and we scuffled through it. And, the program was the team wasn't winning when I got there, and I didn't really help that in any way myself. So we continued to not win. And then they non-renewed the guy's contract. So I was out of a job. And then I ended up at Ohio because I knew Rob Smith. So and Rob is awesome for me. He's a great pitching coach. He's a super smart guy. I don't want to say that out loud so he hears it and then he'll start bragging about how smart he is. But he's a great pitching coach. I learned a ton from him. And that kind of helped right my ship, basically. And I was like, okay, I do want to do this. And there is a different way to do it. There is a different way to treat people. And then Deeks called and said, I was getting ready to get married. And he was like, hey, you know of anybody for this job? He's like, Link's leaving and going to Davidson. And I said, me, I'll take it back right now. So he's like, really? So I was like, yes, I'll take it back right now. I'll be good at it, blah, blah, blah. So I went back. And then that was the first year my first year back. It's the first year we won the conference ever. That was in 2018, and we haven't lost it since. And then I think 2 years after that, we hosted our first regional, have hosted every year since. And it's just kind of been that. But I think it's why I am the way I am with players now, to be honest with you, because those getting your teeth kicked in for a little while and going and not being the guy at all. You're I'm at Ohio. I'm like the second pitching coach. I'm running the 15th arms bullpens on the side. Like, hey, get out of the way. The number one's got to go. Okay, cool. But those experiences, you get humbled by the game. If you're not humble already, it'll humble you at some point. But those experiences of getting kicked in the teeth, they're all just. That's why I tell people you don't stink. But right now this stinks, for sure. And I understand it, but you have to learn from it. You got to pick up little pieces to carry with you from those experiences, where how you treat people and how people treated you, how it made you feel. And just knowing that the whole time I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to be a better coach. I'm trying to learn the game as best I can. But it doesn't mean you're not going to mess stuff up. And so those experiences, I think, have helped shape kind of who I am now.
Those young assistants getting started in college baseball, man, that is certainly one way you could choose to live life. Those have to be a tougher type of human. And I'm going to be honest, I never thought about coaching in the college ranks. I just like the weight room side of things too much, the developmental side of things. That was my jam. I look up to you guys, man. Y'all have to be some of the toughest people alive. Fresh off of playing, and okay, I'm going to drive this van, and I've actually got typed in the GPS that we are headed to a hitting shack halfway to our spring break destination. And I know that I'm going to lead these boys in here to some turf a quarter-inch thick on top of concrete, and then we're going to roll down there. And, hey, by the way, probably play some really good baseball in the next couple of days. It is so humbling, and I joke on the D1 baby Wood over here that he don't know about it. There are so many stories that I collected watching these guys who are living in a locker room as an assistant coach. And I think one of ours got the cops called on him in August one time because we thought there was a homeless guy who had broken in. And it's hey, that's the new pitching coach. So, man, that journey, you guys seriously have to be some of the most humble people ever. And then, by the way, you're leading guys. And something you spoke to as well is the relationships and how this game has a way of teaching you to be a pretty extroverted person and maintain those relationships, because we've seen with what we're building here at K-Zone in the last few years that conversations we had with people in 2015 are having an impact for other people's stories, and we didn't know that was going to be the impact. And we certainly weren't thinking about that when those things are going on. We are now cognizant of that. And we're picking up a lot of different things to coach our guys with each time we sit down with a coach. And almost every coach that comes on talks about how connections or relationships with someone somewhere else, if I didn't meet this one guy, maybe I'm not a coach anymore, or I'm not in this position, or we didn't win this thing, or I didn't get this player. All those things are huge, and I don't know that they're being taught to the young player coming up. Hey, man, the way that you handle your relationships is probably more important than how you hit with a two-strike approach. And all those things go into building a man, and they've certainly helped to shape your story and ours as well.
Coach Rome, throwing this one at you. We help players with recruiting a lot. We want to be super realistic with them. With the current climate of baseball, one of the first questions coaches normally ask us when we are trying to help a player land there is, who else is on them? And that question normally means maybe I didn't see what I saw that day in Lake Point. If no one else is recruiting them, then I'm going to maybe rethink this thing. But a lot of guys that will be getting interest likely from a Division III powerhouse are also maybe getting some mid-major interest and maybe a JUCO offer in there. So make your case, Coach Rome. Why would a player of good talent maybe choose a place like Denison over betting on themselves in the JUCO life, or being the 34th guy on a roster at a Division I school? What would Denison bring them that maybe those other locations would not?
Yeah, so for us, honestly, we typically just and Denison's like a top 30 liberal arts school, so it's very hard to get into. I think the acceptance rate is like 12% or something. It's a 30 ACT, and 4.0 gets you in the door. So it's not easy to find those types of players. So typically we're going up against like, this is a fringy Ivy League guy, or this is a Patriot League. This is a high academic guy at Richmond or Dayton or St. Bonaventure, Lehigh, Lafayette. So one of those. So that's the fringy like D1 guys that we'll see. We rarely go up against a JUCO just because it doesn't make much sense for those guys. I have a couple times, but it's rare. So for us, it's more or less those fringy D1 guys, and then when we go up against your Emory's, Case Western, WashU, your Middlebury's, Bowdoin's, those NESCAC schools. So that's kind of the people that you fight against in the recruiting process. But for us, we've always said like the sell is there's no sell. So I think the strange thing for us, if you came on a recruiting visit at Denison, what you would get is a really front-loaded experience where it's not going to feel like a sales job. It's going to feel like someone's telling you, don't come where you're at. Like, you like this place? Don't come here, because it's going to get a lot more difficult. It looks great right now, but you're going to spend a lot of time at the field, and it's Division III. So there's not always going to be a coach with you. You got to get yourself out of bed, and you got to go down to the park and hit. We're going to lift really hard. You're going to get a lot bigger, or, you're going to have to eat more. Your parents aren't going to be here. It's going to be tough. You're going to call home and you're going to say, I got to get out of here. This is not the right fit. They're going to do that at some point because it's going to be tough. And so that's kind of what our recruiting pitch feels like, not like this overarching sale job. And that, I think that's strange to some people, because what we want is people who want the experience that they're about to get, not that they're going to have some really cool experience and then it's all of a sudden it's tough. That stinks, because then people run out the door. So for us, it's like, this is going to be tough. We're going to try to win a national championship. And do you understand what that means? That means we are going to work really hard. You're going to be held to a really high standard. And it's going to be unforgiving. And so, also, by the way, like, academics is going to be way more challenging than you've ever had to deal with in high school. So you're probably going to get a C on a test, which you've never done. And you're probably going to flunk an exam or homework, which you've never done. And you're also going to hit 100 for a week out there, and you're going to boot 2 balls at shortstop. That's going to be a really fun week for you. So you just try to front load it. And, is this the experience that you want? Do you want to be challenged? Do you want to be coached really hard? Do you want to be challenged in the classroom? Yes. Cool. That's the people we like. We'll take it. And if that doesn't sound like fun to you, then go play somewhere else where they're going to tell you can show up late to practice and you can miss a lift and you can, you're not going to be challenged in the classroom and things like that. So that's how we try to do it anyway. So it sounds tough and mean, but it's not. We're a bunch of nice guys, and Deeks is a super nice human being. But I think that's our way of getting out of the whole like cushy, this is going to be so much fun, and I'm going to come here and I'm sweet. I'm at Denison, and then this is tough. Oh my goodness. So we try to avoid that. So we just front load it really hard.
I can't imagine being a teenager and hearing like, hey, we're going to make you work really, really hard and find out how good of a human being you can be. And then the kid being like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't understand that type of human. Hunter has seen me really struggle with that type of human a few times, that maybe we're training in the facility and I'm like, how do you not get it? Like, I don't understand what you don't understand. Like, you're not good enough. Like, you have a lot of talent. Your family has a lot of resources that they're pouring into you. You have every opportunity. What do you mean you forgot to work out for 5 days? Like, what are you actually talking about? And I think that the way you guys do it is how I would do it if I was right there. And certainly it's different for you because it does take a specific type of kid to have a 30 or higher on the ACT. We have 2 that we're currently training that are at a 34. And one of them, I believe, could probably run our business for us if we needed to. And the other one is just like one of those guys that is so smart and has such a big personality that like life seems too boring for him. And he's just so much fun to be around. So if you told that guy like, hey, we're going to do sled pushes till we vomit, he would be like, what an awesome experience. Like, I'm fired up for that. It just takes a different type of kid to be that academic and that athletic. So I think you all are already pulling from a pretty high level character kid. We're more than likely coming from families that have operated with structure and have had a high expectation in and of themselves as a family unit. And I think you guys are obviously choosing right as you're producing such a high level winning output each season, and a lot of that is what you are bringing in that's already been done by families. So for our families out there, we have a lot of middle school and high school families that listen to this. Like it's not going to benefit your son as a man if he's got a 6 sliding mitt. These coaches actually want to know, like you talk to the limited practice that you guys have, NCAA restricted practice time. Like if your son forgets to hit for 2 weeks, he's not a college baseball player. Like it should be about thought number 2 after he wakes up. And if you're not that way, I want to be clear, I've actually never seen anybody have real success at the collegiate level that wasn't that way. So if your son doesn't want to go to the ballpark and watch that game, or he doesn't want to sit down and watch it on TV, or he's not got a YouTube suggestion page that has all sorts of baseball stuff on it, you probably should stop spending $25,000 a year on travel ball because he's not made out of it.
Let's talk about a buzzword, Coach Rome, development. Development in college baseball. It's like an arms race, it seems like. But a lot of these places where development, they have this lab and that lab and all this technology, it seems like it's pretty cutthroat, and they're not overly interested in actually developing guys. So what does development look like at Denison?
Yeah, I think kind of tying all this in together, what we've talked about, I think at the highest levels, again, I think some of that development, the ability to develop guys is crazy, and they're really good at what they do. They tie in a bunch of tech. They have basically analytics teams working for them. So I think it's incredible. But again, if you want to bring in the whole let's pay guys $500,000, then they have the right to get rid of you too if you're not very good. At our level, we're with guys for 4 years, so it's this really holistic view of who you can be, right? Like, I hate the word ceiling. Like when guys are like, "Oh, this guy's got a ceiling of like 91." I'm like, how do you know? I've worked with guys and I've thought this guy was like born to throw 77 and he's now throwing 92. Like I have no idea how hard this guy can throw. So for us, it's just like put in the time, give them a good blueprint and a plan to move forward. Like how are they going to be the best mover they can be? How can they gain weight and not just like, we need you to put on 30 pounds right now. It's like, no, like let's put on weight the right way. Let's move forward. Let's get you moving the bar faster. So we try to really use our strength conditioning program as best we can. We do a lot of velocity-based testing in there. We jump on force plates twice a week to monitor recovery and how guys are moving, and are they moving fast, or are they really strong with the way they apply force in the ground, and which direction do we need to go? We need to get this guy moving faster. We need to get this guy a lot stronger. He's quick as all get out, but he has no force. So we got to get him faster, or we got to get him stronger. But we're using the strength and conditioning program to then offset kind of what we're seeing, through TrackMan and through data on the field pitching wise. And then again, it's long-term growth. Like we had a young kid, a freshman. I thought his arm was really good, Nashville kid. But he was super skinny. And so it'd be like 86, 88 one week, and then like 84, 86 the next time out. And it was kind of scattered. And I'm like, hey man, look, when you watch video, your body's in such different positions because you're so weak. You can't put your feet in the ground and know where you're at. Like it's just like a tornado happening. So it's like really good, bad, something in the middle, really good, bad, something in the middle. So for him, it's like, I know this isn't going to get fixed with like some mechanical cue I can give him in like a week. This is going to take him putting a different body on and putting that suit on, and that may take him 3, 4, 5 months or whatever. So again, I'm just realistic with him. You talk him through the process. You go meet with the strength conditioning coach. We put a plan together, and now in sophomore, he threw a complete game against ETBU, and he's still in that process of trying to get a better body. But he was that guy you talked about earlier. He didn't throw for a month. He made a start, was really good. He was like our number 5 starter, 6 starter, and was really good. And he kept throwing live to our own team. He kept throwing bullpens. I'm like, man, you're getting better. Like, it's getting good. It's getting good. But no one sees that. They just see, like, this guy hasn't thrown since April 26th or whatever it was. It's like, no, he's been throwing all the time against our guys. But that development is a really holistic look about, like, how you become a better mover. But again, we have time to do that. I think sometimes you get that guy in and that guy, and you're going, let's get rid of him. It's going to take him 6 months to figure this out. And we got a game in 4, right? So I think that's real too.
The development has to be done the right way. And I think a lot of what my takeaway from what you just said there was it's kind of a slow heartbeat thing. Like, we can't rush this, because if we do rush it, there's just some things that come from that. And I think on the developmental side of things, especially running pitching development, I would probably make more money if I would market things like gain 9 miles an hour in a month because this kid did. Okay, maybe we actually had a significant sequence unlock with that guy and he was just mistiming himself and something just broke. That is possible. But all of that, man, I really struggle with it. Like, I don't like the social media side of our game right now that is like, I am the only one that can fix you. Well, there's 1,000 colleges out there, and I think there's probably a lot of places doing things pretty good here. You're probably not the only human being that can get a person to 95 miles an hour. And I'm not the only person in the state of Kentucky that can teach you to command the baseball. It's actually just not true, and it's egotistical, and I struggle with it quite a bit. And what you're talking about is a lot of the gains that happen for a pitcher, they aren't like, hey, put your elbow here. And I think that's sometimes what our younger high school athletes and our middle school people are like, who is the person that I drive to that can tell my son how to organize his skeleton so it'll go 97? It's like it actually doesn't work that way. There's a lot that goes into this. There's a mental side of this. There's actually like a brain connecting to the body portion of this. There's a physicality portion of this. There's a mindset portion of this. There's a grip portion of this. There's environmental factors. There's all these different things. It's never just going to be like one thing, and that's the answer, and now I'm a Hall of Famer. We have to create a person that is ready to pursue this thing. And over the last year or so, I have had a couple guys put on 10 miles an hour plus. That has happened. I've had other guys that were right beside them, heard exactly the same thing. I told them exactly what to do, exactly the same way. One guy gained 25 pounds and is plus 11. The other one's up, 3.5 ounces, and he throws a mile an hour harder. There is just a physicality portion of this where, especially in a force production game, you have to have a body that produces force. So you guys and tying in the strength and conditioning portion is just required. It has to be required. And we have so many people on the internet right now that are like, hey, you spend $699 here and your son will gain 8 miles an hour. And and you're probably going to gain a trip to the orthopedic surgeon. And we can just blast guys with volume and see what happens. And yes, the survivors will throw hard. But what about the other kids? The ones that didn't handle the 400 max intent throws a week well, and now they can't play anymore. What about that kid? And the whole person has to be all in on getting better at this thing, or we actually end up on an operating table. And these are children. Like, I know you guys are bringing in a little bit of an older kid, but still somebody's 18-year-old moving away from home. And we want them to be trusted with coaches that are going to take care of them as a person for that time, because it is a crucial time. That is your first taste of independence and really finding out how good at the game you can be. So, Coach, we always tie it together with this one. If you could give one piece of advice to a family of a middle school or early high school age baseball player, what would it be?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think number one, I probably have two things. Number one, go try to watch games. I think the massive amount of people that I ask, like, have you ever seen a really good Division III baseball game? They're like, no. Then what are you talking about? You think you can play here? Like, have you ever seen us play? No. So high school coaches will say that to me all the time. I think this guy can really play for you. I was like, have you ever seen us play? He's like, no. And I'm like, That's the craziest statement I've ever heard. So go watch games. I think probably within, even in Kentucky, you got center. You have some good Division III, Spalding and center. You have some good Division III schools down there. You can get into Indiana and watch a couple teams. You can come up to Ohio and watch a couple teams. But go try to watch a Division III baseball game. Go try to watch a JUCO game. Like pick 4 different levels out and try to pick some decent teams and just go watch. I think it's well worth the investment of your time to know what the levels look like and know what the teams look like. So when you're looking to try to make your list of schools, one, at least you're not so far off that you're like, I think I can play at North Carolina. No, you can't. And you're not going to be so far off, at least to start the conversation. It's like, okay, I understand. Like these guys are throwing 86 to 88, and I got to tone down my language when I start talking to these guys because I'm not there yet, and everybody you recruit's not there yet anyway, so it doesn't matter. But at least know so you're not ignorant to the level that you're talking about. So I'd say watch games, and then 2, I would say figure out what the priority is, and don't start with playing time because you don't control that anyways. You have nothing to do with whether you play or not. It could be a difference in the roster. Say you're a center fielder and now our shortstop is not fielding the ball well and we kick him into center and now you're behind one of our best hitters. You had nothing to do with that, but it happened. So now you're behind a guy. Is that going to ruin your whole experience? If it is, you chose the wrong school. You chose the wrong experience. If the social's not good, if financially it's not the right fit, if academically it's not the right fit, and then culturally as a team it's not the right fit, playing time can't be the one thing that's like the cog in the wheel that's saving you. Otherwise, you're having a miserable college experience. So don't let playing time be everybody wants to play. I'd hope so. Like every guy I recruit, I want to be our Friday night guy. But it's not realistic, right? There's one guy pitching at a time. There's 9 guys on the field, so not everybody's going to play. So you're telling me that the other 36 guys on our roster are unhappy? No, they're not unhappy because they understand it's a team and there's depth and the star rotates on a really good program, a really good team. So don't let that be the one thing. Can it be a thing? Absolutely. Everybody wants to play. You don't want to go and sit. But if it's the one thing that's the only reason why you're at a place, one, you went to a lesser place to play. Let's be honest. You went to a worse program to play because you knew you could play there instead of going to a better program that you could have went to. 2, it's a very light reason to make that the reason for your experience. So go someplace where you can be holistically happy. That's why we have a ton of transfer portal issues more than anything. 1, because it's a little bit more transactional at the top level, but number 2, guys make decisions based on playing time rather than like a really good fit. And they'd be happier. They'd work while they waited if they were in a place where they're happy. No one wants to work while they wait when they're unhappy about the place that they're sitting in. So that's my two things.
That is awesome advice. I've actually heard no coach take that approach yet. And I mean, that's going to help me as I try to advise some of these guys as they make these decisions. So Coach Rome, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I think a lot of folks will get tons of insight, parents, players, coaches, from all the value that you brought. So thank you once again for your time, Coach.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So until next time, this is the K-Zone Baseball Development Podcast. Remember that Christ is King, baseball is just a game, and work works.